welcome. It is season 1, episode 25 of UK Cowboys TV. We have a very special guest with us, a friend of ours and a friend of the show. We've got Mr. Big Game James. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. I'm just blessed. I'm honored that y'all have me on as a special guest. I feel just like so good inside, and I'm just happy with that we got this win after looking all crazy in the very beginning of the game. So that's always good too, that we don't have to hear all them people, them haters this week talking trash about our Cowboys.
Well, no, we're the ones that are honored to have you, Big Game. So it's a pleasure to have you with us.
I love it. I'm ready.
Yeah. And just so we don't get confused, we've got two Jameses on the show. So we've got Big Game James, and we've got, of course, the one and only Mr. Jamie. How are you, sir?
Apart from tired, you know what it's like with these 1 o'clock in the morning games. But yeah, we got the win, as James said. You know what I mean? So it always helps the Monday blues, so to speak.
Yeah. It's quite the killer this weekend, and obviously. We have Wembley as well on Sunday, so we had everybody travelling back from Wembley on the Sunday, getting back at midnight, and then back up at midnight again to watch the Cowboys game. So, Big Game, you're going to be our spurt of energy for this show tonight.
I'm gonna be your coffee. I'm gonna be your spiked drink. I'm gonna be all that good stuff to get you awake. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm gonna be your 5-hour, 10-hour energy drink today.
You need to give us things.
I got you.
All right. So, as we know, the Cowboys won this weekend down in the Meadowlands. An emphatic win. The score, a big score, but does it really tell the tale of the game? We'll dive into it, but first of all, I'll start with you, Big Game, right? On the offense, do you have an MVP? And what's your reason behind picking that particular player?
Oh, yeah, I definitely got an MVP. I know a lot of people are going to jump to this, so that's why I'm glad you asked me first, so I could go ahead and get it on out the way, because you know I'm coming Dak Prescott. And the reason why I'm saying Dak Prescott is, look, I like Dak from the very beginning. Now, I had a little bit of my way. I think it was 2017. I was frustrated. We saw the second year how he had his ups and downs, and people wonder, oh, is he a franchise quarterback? Is he this and that? And then you saw him grow again last year when he got Amari Cooper. You saw how his game took to another level. Then you have a whole season with Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup steps up. And now you're looking at his numbers right now. 69.6 completion percentage, 102.5 rating. That's been steady the whole season. 2,380 yards, almost 300 yards a game. A lot of people weren't even saying, what would they call him? Dink and dunk Dak. That's what the main thing, always saying, Dak can't throw deep. Dak, he's already setting career numbers as far as pacing, throwing the ball, 40-plus passes, 20-yard-plus passes, 15 touchdowns, passing, 8 interceptions, but I'm going to say at least 4 of those were knocked off receivers' hands, 3 rushing touchdowns, and averaging a robust 8.7 yards a pass play. Now, if you're looking at those numbers if you're projecting those numbers toward the end of the year, he's having a career year, 36 touchdowns total, 30 passing, almost 5,000 yards. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Dak Prescott has been the MVP because he has kept us in the games. Even when we had our bad games, he still fought and got us. Even in that Packers game, he brought us back. Even in that Jets game, he brought us back. He kept us in that Saints game. So if you're not talking about an overall MVP in Dak Prescott, I think that's a little funny, man. Give this guy his props.
Well, another one to add for you. He's actually got now 11 touchdowns in his last 3 games.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a big one. So, Jamie, what about you? MVP for the game on offense? Who have you got, mate?
I'm just going to add onto what's being said about Dak. Like, the first pass of the game, you know what I mean, interception. Yeah. You know what I mean, QBs can sometimes just crumble and have a horror of a game, and he stepped up, made some big throws. You know what I mean, he shook it off straight away, and like I said, he had a really big game. But I'm probably going to sound like a broken record here, but I'm going to go with Zeke again, just for the fact that, I mean, the guy is an absolute beast. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if there's one defender on him, 2 defenders, 3 defenders. If you give him a sniff of a hole, and he's just going to make you pay. And he's on it again. And he had another game over 100 yards. I mean, he looked like you're having fun out there.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, if I'm split right down the middle between you, Ben. So I'm somewhere between Zeke and Dak. To be honest, I'm probably going to go with Dak purely on the basis of there was one particular play, the Michael Gallup touchdown down in the red zone. Mm-hmm. Now, if you ever want to say there's a play where you want all the box checked for a quarterback play, it's that one. I mean, the everything from the pre-snap read to the audible to when the play, working out a structure, and he had to put that pass perfect. Because I don't know if you've seen this, a linebacker coming across.
Yeah, that hand was right there. It went right over his hand, literally.
And it had to be perfect. And he had to catch as well, Gallup in stride because of the position of the field. If he doesn't get him in stride, then you lose momentum on that play. And the safety that's coming across to tackle him is just going to cut under him. And all you've got is a gain as opposed to a touchdown. In fairness, mind you, to Gallup, he did make an athletic play on that to get into the end zone. I never even realized a guy could jump that high.
All right, exactly. You see the picture. I love it because he's like hurtling right over the Giants dude, and he's just looking up to him. And I love Giants always looking up to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Talk about finishing plays, isn't it? Like you say, he could have just taken the hit, but nah, man.
Yeah.
I thought these receivers are doing it at the minute. You know what I mean? They're punching it right to the end.
Yeah, definitely. But then one of the problems we have with the offense, as it has been a lot in this season so far, has been in the first half. Second half, there seems to be a huge adjustment. It's actually one of the questions that was in our mailbag from one of our fans over here in the UK. Ken asked it. Yeah, welcome back.
Dropped it, sorry.
I'm feeling a bit dizzy now.
Right.
I don't know what you've got, Big Game, but what do you think? It's a question that keeps cropping up quite regular between the members over here in the UK. Why is the first half always taking so long to build up? I mean, Eagles game, granted, that was slightly different, but why is it there's always this slow start, do you think?
Well, I mean, if you really look at our games, we haven't really had too many crazy slow starts. I think it's not really the slow starts. I think it's us shooting ourselves in the foot. I think that's the problem with us. We are moving the ball. A lot of times when we're playing these teams, every game, we have moved the ball consistently on these teams. But what do? We have a bad penalty. We get a big game. We get a big pass, a 30-yard pass, or Zeke gets a big run. What do we look at? We see a yellow flag. Holding, it takes the drive back, and then instead of you having a first down, now you're at 2nd and 20. It's the down and distance. I think that's what's really been hurting us, and we've been having critical turnovers like at the wrong time. We just really been shooting ourselves in the foot. I can tell you the only time we can really start out slow was that Green Bay game. That's the game that really frustrated me because I really want us to get a good start because we know how our Aaron Rodgers is, and we know once he gets that lead how he plays. So I think that's the one real game that we really start out slow. But if you look at our team, all year, we have consistently moved the ball on these teams. It's just when you have drive-killing penalties and inopportune miscues, personal fouls, turnovers. Those are really creeping up on us. And I think though when you have that makes it look like a slow start because even when you look at the Giants game, we were moving the ball on them at will. But we would have a turnover or we'd have a penalty. That's what was really killing us more than anything. And I think if we can eliminate those things in the first half in the beginning, then that's going to take away that slow start and we can score and kind of get on the team and make them kind of pin our ears back on defense and kind of get them out of their game.
Okay. Jay, what do you think? Do you agree on the penalty side or do you think there's other reasons behind the slow start?
Yeah, no, the penalties, I totally agree. I know we discussed on previous shows that we seem to be giving up a lot, but I don't know if this is maybe becoming the Cowboys of this season, and rather than punching it straight in there and going 100 mile an hour from the start, we're kind of easy. It seems over the last week we're easing his way into games now. Like I say, rather than going gung ho and throwing it 60, 70 yards every time and on first drives and things like that. I think more feeling his way and letting the opposition kind of show their hand first and then adapting our game plan around that.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I mean, we have, as we said, mentioned about this before. Like, we're trying to kind of find a reasoning behind it. I mean, mine is I'm stuck somewhere between they're either under-preparing or over-preparing. And come the half, when it all goes wrong, they either seem like they've over-prepared for what's to come, or they haven't prepared enough, and they can't seem to find their feet. So it takes that half-time to sit down, Kellen Moore to go through it methodically and find a way to start getting production. I don't know. It's very strange. Without being in the locker room, you're never really going to know.
I know, right? And that it's just kind of frustrating when you see it because, like I said, I mean, offensively, I mean, we have the number one offense right now. I don't know if that dropped a little bit, but we're still going to be a top 5 offense. So it's obviously we're saying we're not. It's not a point of we can't get yards on teams because you don't have a number one type offense if you can't move the ball. It's just like I said, we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. If we can get down the field and have a penalty-less drive, I think a lot of times we're punching it in and scoring touchdowns now. You get what I'm saying? We're averaging 30 points a game. So we can just eliminate the little things, the little small mistakes that really befall us. We have really been shooting ourselves in the foot in these games. It hasn't really, to me, been these teams. It's been us. If we can take care of us, I think it'll take care of the rest of the season going forward.
I know exactly what you mean. Like, we seem to be our own worst enemy.
Yes.
But going ahead with that, something that seems to be raising its ugly head every game at the moment is wide receivers, drop passes, and fumbles. Is this now, do you think, Big Game, the biggest issue facing the offense at the moment?
I would say, yeah, like I said, it's the ball security, it's the inopportune, it's the wrong times. We were driving down the field, Randall Cobb fumbles the ball. And Randall Cobb is a veteran. You know what I mean? So that's what you get frustrated because he's a veteran. You expect a rookie or somebody doing this. You got to be smarter than that. So it's between here. It's between here. You have to always stay mentally in the game at any time because, like we said, we know Randall Cobb is not the number 1, not the number 2, possibly not even the number 3 is when Jason Witten was getting the ball like that. So sometimes you have lapse in concentration, but at all times you must stay in tune into the game. And I think that's what happened. And I mentioned this a little bit early on another show when we were talking about what drops even with Michael Gallup. I think with him, he came back from injury rather quickly. Sometimes when you have injuries, I played the game, football, basketball, sometimes you have injuries, you worry about those injuries. And if somebody throws a ball and it may be kind of high, we've seen Dak throw high passes at times, jumps kind of high, you come back from an injury, you see a linebacker or a corner standing right behind you, you think about that knee. You think about, is he going to hit this knee? Sometimes you lose the concentration. And Amari Cooper, his drops have been even since Oakland. I think it's just a situation where he just had his concentration, staying in tune all game long. When they do that, I think we're good. I don't think it's some kind of a big problem. I think it's just get the concentration because it hasn't really destroyed us this year, but it has hurt us in drives going forward.
Definitely. I'm totally behind every word you say there, mate. And especially with Amari Cooper, like you say, he was down in Oakland, he was having drops. But the weirdest part that seems to be behind it, I don't know if maybe there's the anticipation perhaps because it's a bigger game. But when he was in Alabama, you didn't really see, he wasn't renowned for being a player that dropped the ball that much.
I know. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what's so weird.
It is. It's a very weird. There's something going on there, that's behind all that. But Jamie, I'm going to ask you a question, right? I've asked you this before, so I'm going to ask it again. Brett Maher, are your feelings changing on him at all yet?
Nah, I was thinking last night when he made the kick, and I think I'm gonna change it a bit, and it's gonna be Brett Maher. It's so frustrating. I mean, nah, for me, mate. I might get a bit of stick for this. He could make a field goal from our own end zone, and I would still want him out. Nah, it's time to go.
No. Okay, I mean, because he's climbing the ranks slowly in terms of accuracy on the leaderboard in kicking. But what about you, Big Game? Are you changing at all feelings towards Maher, or are you still apprehensive?
I mean, I just know what Maher is. He gonna make a long one. He gonna miss a short one. When are you gonna do it? And that's my thinking. When you gonna miss it? I know you're gonna miss one. I know you're gonna miss one. When you gonna miss it? Miss it. If you're gonna miss it, please miss it early. okay? Because I might need you at the end of the game to make one. So please be able to make that one. So get the miss out early, so I feel better. Now, if you kick past 50 yards, I feel pretty good about yourself. I if you kick a 50-yarder, I can go grab a cold drink and I'll feel a little better. Now, if you kick between 33 and 42, I'm gonna have to stay glued at the TV and have my hands up praying, because I don't know what you're gonna do, because you miss them easy ones and you get on my nerves when you do that. So you just are what you are, my heart. You miss and you make, and when you're gonna miss early, make it later.
He's gonna come back and bite me in the backside, and you just know what's happened. We're gonna make the Super Bowl this year. Time's gonna expire. He's gonna hit a 43-yarder to bring the trophy home, and I'm gonna have to sit there and and have to apologise, won't I?
And I'll be saying, your feelings changing? Are your feelings changing?
Right. Hey, I don't mind that apology if we get in the trophy. I'll apologize to you all day. I'll call your phone and say, I'm sorry. I had to apologize to Sean Lee yesterday. I had to apologize to him on my show yesterday. I said, I'm sorry, Sean Lee. I said you was washed up. I said you weren't playing good. I said Joe Thomas was playing better than you, and you went out there and you shut my mouth. So I had to apologize to Sean Lee last night.
Well, that actually segues nicely towards the defensive side of the ball. So looking at the defense, I'm going to start with you, right, Jay? And I don't mean you, Big Jay. I mean the other Jay.
I got you.
We've got Big Jay and Little Jay. Who's your defensive MVP for this particular game then, Jay?
Do you know that they played pretty well? They played really well that side of the ball. I know we stuttered on offense to start with, but the D line was getting plenty of pressure. The linebackers were flying around. Bennett looked like he'd been playing for weeks. He settled in really well. It was like Robert Quinn at the start of the season. It's like he knew. It was just instincts rather than thinking I'm in a new system here. But I'm going to go with the guy that I guessed as. I'm going to have to say Sean Lee. He looked like the Sean Lee of old, didn't he? He was everywhere last night, and that's what you want. And he's a general on and off the field. You know what I mean? And that's what you want. You know what I mean? If you don't sometimes mind him having a quiet game, if people like Van Der Esch or Jalen Smith, are doing their job as well. And he had a stellar game last night.
Yeah. All right, Big J, who have you got as your defensive MVP for this game, mate?
I'm going to go ahead with Michael Bennett. I was screaming his praises when the Cowboys got him, especially for getting him for a 7th rounder. I mean, that's a steal if you're looking at the talent that we got. And I just felt like, you know what, that was going to be an instant addition, because that's another pass rusher that's going to put pressure on the quarterback, and he can slide in and play defensive tackle, which he did yesterday. I think he helped limit Saquon Barkley to 28 yards rushing. So to me, I said as a bold prediction last night that he would get 2 sacks. He ended up getting 1, but I believe he had 4 quarterback hits, had a few hurries, and I know they had a drive when it was 23-15, and they were inside our 10-yard line on a 3rd down, and he had a big, almost would-be sack to make Jones sail the ball out of the end zone and for them to settle for a field goal. So to me, that is huge, and I feel like he just gave edginess to us. I feel like I want our defense to have that edge. You know, I want our defense to, when you play our defense, we're going to get after you, and I like having our defense having an attitude, and I think that's one of the things he was going to bring to the table is his edginess. And I think just his attitude and him having that Super Bowl pedigree makes everybody else on the defensive line step up. And I believe that's what it did. You saw D-Law get a sack. We end up with 4.5 sacks that game. And I just feel like his presence really opened it up for everyone else. And that's what I really liked. And I think that's why I gave him my MVP for the game.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with. We actually made a bold prediction on the pre-game show last week.
I seen when you said that.
And it happened. So we're going to stick with it. Jordan Lewis with the touchdown. So there's our MVP. Only because he's. I mean, it sounds amazing. Like you're like, wow, they said Jordan Lewis, but we literally say it every pre-game show. Jordan Lewis is going to score a touchdown. So it sounds good, but it's law of averages.
I mean, he's a beast. We've been waiting for him to be on the field. I mean, Chris Richard, I love you, but I'm sorry, you just were making a mistake not having Jordan Lewis over there behind Anthony Brown. He's just a playmaker. His rookie year, he had a solid rookie year. You get what I'm saying? And you see every time he gets on the field, He makes plays. He's been in there 3 games. He has 2 turnovers, 1 big interception against the Jets. Yeah. And then, as you saw, how many times have we seen our Cowboys players, when there's a fumble, they stumble over the ball. They don't pick it up, or we don't pick up the fumble. We don't get the turnover. This guy slowed down like you're supposed to, picked up the ball nicely and scooped it for the touchdown. And like I said, that was his most snaps that he had all year, and look what he's made the difference. So Jordan Lewis is a beast. I've loved him from day one, and he needs to stay in that starting lineup because he makes a difference in the attitude in the back end of our secondary.
Yeah. I mean, this was actually something we were speaking about with West Coast. We were trying to wrap our head around why Chris Richard won't play, and the only reason is he's not that typical. You know, when you think of Chris Richard, you think of the Seattle Seahawks defense. Mm-hmm. It's tall, lanky players with big range. Mm-hmm. Jordan Lewis is not that guy, and I think he struggles to find a way to use him. That's the only reason we could come up with.
I mean, that's the only reason. But you know what? When I listen to Richard and those guys, they say he's the exception to the rule. If he's the exception to the rule, then play him. I mean, he's a starting cornerback. You're looking at his size. I know another cornerback that was on the opposite side of the field, and he was a pretty good cornerback for a little bit. He just fell off. His name was Janoris Jenkins. Janoris Jenkins is little. He's not a big guy at all, and he's been a starting cornerback and a very good one in the league for a long time. So, yes, we do understand the size and the long arms. We do understand that. But sometimes, just like you said, it's an exception to the rule. This dude is a starting cornerback. He can play starting corner in the league, and he's just sticky as an attitude, and he's that type of guy that if you get a play on him, he's going to come right back at you and say, throw it again. I bet you don't do it again. And that's what I love, what he brings to the table.
Yeah, totally. But sticking with the defensive back position, safety. So we had another interception coming from Xavier. So the question I'm going to ask you both is the safety position. Is it now that we're okay with what we've got, or does it still need addressing in the draft?
Go ahead, Jay. That's on you.
I still think we probably need to address it. Not to say that they haven't been playing to a high standard. I just think for what you need and for some of these receivers that we come up against, it's always good to have, do you know what I mean? Some extra, some really big talent in there. But I think the only thing as well, I was thinking last night when I was watching the game, that sometimes I think this secondary doesn't get enough credit. And not that the players at the times kind of the high standard, but it was kind of the same with the a lot of the secondary back in the 90s, like in the early 90s, balled out every single week and didn't get any recognition. Put my teeth in, any recognition for it. And it seems like these guys do all the time. They say that the ball hawks around the ball, they're making plays, and you never hear them in the conversations on any of the NFL shows that, I mean, these guys, I mean, could have been the standout guys that week, and you never hear it. It's I hope it adds fuel to the fire for them to, I mean, to knock some teeth out.
Yeah, I feel you. I totally feel you on that.
Yeah, I mean, what are you thinking with the safety position then, Big Game? Is it something that needs addressing, or do you think perhaps, like a play that we got from Texas A&M, a certain safety over there? Do you think it's time for him to start getting some reps? Certainly with the fact that he's going to be out with injury. I know he had stitches in his leg and a shoulder injury he's looking at. So do you think perhaps we get to see it so we know what we're going to have to play with come draft time with the safety position?
I think I'd love to see it. I didn't think we would see it as long as Heath was healthy. I didn't think we would see a Donovan Wilson because, as I told people before, he's a rookie. And although he looked great in the preseason and we all clamored to see that, if you have a rookie and you don't really play him in those early games, especially when you're playing weak teams, I found it hard to believe that the Cowboys would put a rookie in when you're playing the Vikings, when you're playing the Patriots, when you're playing the Bills, and when you're playing, you're playing these tough teams. I just find it hard for them to stick a rookie out there. So I was really thinking you weren't going to see him as just on special teams and things of that nature. Now I feel like the door may be open with a Heath injury because that's another body down. So now that's a guy that moves up in the rotation. I personally like the way Darian Thompson has played. He started that game in the Miami game. I actually went out to that game. He started and played very efficient. I didn't know he was going to be what he was going to be, because I got to see him in training camp and he really didn't show anything in training camp. So for him to come up and step up like he did, I don't feel like the defense missed a beat when Heath went out. I thought it played very well, and he had a big tackle early in that game when Saquon Barkley was they got inside, I believe, the 5-yard line. DeMarcus Lawrence made a diving tackle, and he stuck Barkley right up the middle and made him for a no gain, which I thought that was huge because it changed kind of the complexity of what the Giants were going to do. They kind of went into a pass mode right after that. So do I think it still needs to be addressed in the draft? Definitely, because I still think they need to still look at that Jamal Adams thing. I don't think they should let that die. I think they should go back and revisit it and see if they're really serious, because to me, Jamal Adams is that game-changing guy that if you pair him with an Xavier Woods, okay, now, and just like Jay was saying, the secondary doesn't get the credit because Byron Jones, they don't talk about Byron Jones because he doesn't get interceptions. But Byron Jones shuts down one side of the field, okay? Golden Tate had 6 catches for 40 yards. That's it. He was shut down, and Golden Tate has been a Cowboy killer. He's been notorious for killing us. So they're doing their job. It's just Cheeto Awuzie is being maligned because he's being the guy that's targeted. But if you look at it as a whole, our secondary hasn't looked bad. But if we get a game-changing safety like an Adams, if they were to still be able to pull that off, I think it makes a Jeff Heath better because I think Jeff Heath is better off the bench and spot plays. When you don't have to play Jeff Heath a lot, that's when he comes in and makes interceptions. That's when he comes and makes some big plays because not every player is a starter. And sometimes when you make a bench player starter, you start seeing the weaknesses that you didn't see when he's on the bench. So I think you still need to address that in the draft because I don't think you're really going to see a lot of Wilson unless there's something major going on with Heath.
So So you're thinking perhaps more than what we're looking at is more of a free safety as opposed to a box safety then.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they were really looking at when you're seeing and I know Jamal Adams is a special player, but I think we want that strong safety with range. I think that's what the Cowboys are really looking for, that guy that can thump you but still hit that center of the field. And I think that's why they were picking that Jamal Adams, because he's that type of guy. Because if you have that strong safety that can do both of those things, it really frees up Xavier Woods. Then you can really see the playmaking ability of the Xavier Woods that you're seeing now that comes out. Imagine if we had a strong safety that could play with some range and can come in and hit you. It makes Xavier Woods better because I think you really see that playmaking come out on him.
Yeah, definitely. That center field sort of play then. So in terms though of the defense with takeaways, it was something we spoke about a while back at the beginning of the season. We were really struggling. What was it, Jay? We ranked something like 24th in turnover differential. And
we were pretty low down, weren't we?
Yeah, but it seems to be coming around a little bit now. So the whole Hot Boys trainer, we all jumping on that now with the way that things seem to be going, especially DeMarcus Lawrence. He just seems to be each game he gets a little bit more athletic. He seems to be getting more pressure, more into the backfield. So are we jumping on the Hot Boys train now?
Yeah, well, I think we're getting ready, aren't we, to get on there?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. The Hot Boys, I really never really got with that name, so I'm gonna just stay away from just the name itself. I'm gonna be on the train. I'm gonna be on the train with the defense. I think it's going to continue to get better. I feel like they said, you know what, we're trying to make a Super Bowl run. We need to get another couple players. And when they went out and got Bennett, to me, because I think he's a rental. I don't know if he signs again next year. So if he's a rental for 1 year, to me, that's telling me Super Bowl run. So I think right now, when you're looking at the defense, I think Michael Bennett really solidified that inside. Now, he's not that defensive tackle, that one tech, that guy that's that big body that a lot of people have been clamoring for to really plug and hold up 2 blockers so it can really free our linebackers. But he can do it in pinches and spots, and that's what I like about him. And then you can slide into Covington. Then you can slide into Antoine Woods and Malik Collins. So I'm ready to jump back on the train. Our defense has never been bad this year. I mean, it's consistently been top 10, top 5 as far as the statistics-wise. So it's not like teams have just been coming out there and dominating our defense. We just have this expectation because of what we've seen. You know what I'm saying? When you see a defense in that, when you've seen it, then it's just kind of like if you're in a business. If your boss tells you we need to make this money and you hit 20,000, you ain't never did it before. Well, guess what that boss is going to be expecting next month? 20K or 25K. So I think it's the expectation of our Cowboys fans. We've seen it, so we want more, and I think we can get more as the season goes on.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I checked earlier on today, I mean, I am a bit tired, so I might be out, but I think they rank in terms of yards. They rank 8th in defense, so they're a top 10 defense. It was just more of the turnarounds. But I got one for you, Jay. Sean Lee came into this game top tackler. Came in with 12 tackles on the day. Replaced Van Der Esch. Here's one for you though. Who's better? Looking at that game.
I think. Oh gosh. I'm still going to go with Sean Lee just for the fact that he's that seasoned veteran and he's been around there. Do you know what I mean? Van Der Esch is on the up. I think maybe a year or so, I think Van Der Esch is going to overtake him. Just at the minute, I think while Van Der Esch is still kind of learning the NFL trade, I think Sean Lee just nicks that one for me.
Okay.
Not by much, though.
No, all right. Big game. Who have you got in terms of who edges the position there? Sean Lee or Van Der Esch? After what we've seen yesterday or this morning.
I mean, I'm torn. I'm going to say ability-wise right now. I mean, I'm still say Van Der Esch. I mean, Van Der Esch is a nasty player, but to go to Jay's point, he's still young. And I think that's the only thing I can give Sean Lee over him right now is the veteranness. He's been there and done that. He's seen things that Van Der Esch hasn't seen. Like, he doesn't go for maybe the play fakes like a Van Der Esch does. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what, when you seen, when we were having, people were saying, hey, Vandy is struggling a little bit because he was overrunning some tackles in some games, overrunning plays, going for the first read. Whereas Sean Lee, he been there, done that. He knows what the guys do. He knows what plays. I mean, even if you saw that Giants game, he was all over the field because he knows what guys are doing. He was shutting down screen passes. He was hitting guys up in the middle because he's anticipating where the running back goes. I think that's where Van Der Esch is still learning. And he will get there. But right now, Sean Lee has that. But if you're talking about just the athletic ability, that's a Van Der Esch. But the mind, so we should just want to take Sean Lee's brain and mind and just put it right in Van Der Esch's body. And then we are good. We are straight.
Yeah, you got yourselves a linebacker Frankenstein.
Exactly. And he is getting like 25 tackles a game.
Yeah. For me, I'm sticking with Sean Lee, General Lee. At the end of the day, the one thing that popped out to me, not necessarily just the stats, but the one that popped out to me is something that Van Der Esch wouldn't do. So you have the Saquon Barkley run where he went like 65 yards up the field, and we did amazing to stop him getting in our own red zone. The next time the Giants hit the field, where's Saquon Barkley? He's been knocked in the backfield by Sean Lee because he's got the experience to know to learn from the mistakes and to read the play and go, no, you got me this time, but you're not getting me again. Where I think Van Der Esch would, like you say, he'd overrun his position and then Barkley's off to the races again, you know? And that's for me why I've got Sean Lee over Esch at the moment.
I feel you. I ain't mad at you.
I'm just going to apologize now in case you're picking up the background noise. There's fireworks going off next door because obviously it's bonfire night, so the windows are closed.
Yeah, I just had to shut my windows.
All good over this way.
it's like today is like our 4th of July, so there's fireworks going off everywhere.
That's nice. I love it. Y'all gonna have to send me an airline ticket to come on down there. That's all right. I'll pay y'all back.
We'll have to get you over, man. We'll have to get you over.
I need to come down there because now I've been overseas. When I was little, my father was in the military, so I've been over in Europe. I've been over in Germany. I've been to France because I used to fly with the airline. So I've been overseas, but I always want to go back over. So we did go somehow, somewhere, gonna have to make that happen because we're gonna have to kick it, man.
Definitely.
Maybe next year if the Cowboys come back.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm coming in.
Yeah, let's do it. Definitely. We've got a long list of people who are coming over. I'm running out of beds in this house. Get you an inflatable mattress, Big James.
For sure. There we go. Just put my name right there, BJ. I'm good.
All right. So just to close out the show, then I've got one more question for you guys. It can be offense, defense, special teams, whatever you like. who at the moment is the player that not only needs to do more, but you want to see more from him? And I'll let you go first, Big Game.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna go right now. It's between two players. I'm trying to figure out who do I want more. I'm gonna say Chidobe Awuzie. It was a battle between him and Randall Cobb. It was between him and Randall Cobb. It was close because Randall Cobb, you need to step up right now. But I'm gonna just say Cheeto, and it's not like he's played bad. People look at the passes that people caught on, and they're like, "Oh man, Cheeto sucks." And when you go back and watch the tape, he's not played has a bad season, but he needs to tighten it up. With the he gave up the touchdown yesterday. If he could just really step his game all the way up where he's not he don't got to intercept it, but deflect passes, it's going to make our secondary that more just nasty, because I feel like our secondary is good. Just like Jay said, I think our secondary is very underrated, but if you could get a Chidobe Awuzie really knocking down passes, maybe get an interception here or there, I think it'll continue to take our secondary to another level. And he is going to be a big K. I love Jordan Lewis, what he brings to the table, Byron Jones, but if Chidobe could really lock down his side, that can make our secondary nasty.
You picked up exactly something that I was speaking about a couple of weeks ago, where I was saying that it's the strangest thing with Chidobe, that he's right on that wide receiver's hip. He's in position to make the play.
Every time.
But then as soon as the ball gets there, whether it's high point or wherever it is, for some reason, he's not getting his arms. You think he's done the hard part. All he's got to do is his arms up, and he's gonna batter. What ends up happening is he ends up playing the player and calling you end up getting a defensive penalty. Then it's the strangest thing. He does the hard part, and then he misses out the easy part.
I feel you.
Yeah. All right, Jay. Who have you got? Who's your player that needs to do more that you want to do?
I'm gonna go with kind of the same route that Big Game went on, but rather than a player, I'm gonna say the secondary. But and what I mean by that is, I touched on it earlier. I want to see these guys get some more interceptions, and I say they're playing at a high level, and I think start getting a few more interceptions. I think we've got 4 this year so far. Get some more. I think the NFL owners are going to start taking serious note of this secondary and think, you know what, I mean, these guys need to be wary of them, because these guys will knock your teeth out. If you throw the pass, they're going to go up and get it, and they're going to bring it back. So yeah, not to knock out to say how they play. I think just more in terms of, so they'll start getting the recognition that they actually deserve.
Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, there we go. That wraps up this week's post-game show with special guest Big Game James. Make sure as well, if you aren't following him, you go and follow him. He's on Instagram as well. And also they work with Silver and Blue Nation, where they got their own show over there. So make sure you get over there, hit and smash that like button and get involved.
Smash it.
Just like our defense.
Yes.
But of course, as well, don't forget, if you're joining us from out in the UK or America, to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're there as well. But if you've got anything else to add there, Big Game?
No, just like I said, once again, I appreciate. I appreciate. I'm honored. I'm very honored that you guys, called me, and we've been talking back and forth. Much respect on my end for you guys. I really been watching some of your shows and really like what you guys bring to the table. So once again, I'm honored and always humbled for it to be able to do this with you guys today. So thank you very much, and salutes to you.
No, the honor's all of ours, Big Game. But yes, from myself, Jamie, and Big Game, this is UK Cowboys TV post-game show. We'll see you again.
See you all there.